Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging deep into a really critical recent event, one that's definitely shifted some conversations around global security.
It has indeed.
We've got a stack of recent reports, various analyses, and we're aiming to give you a clear picture what happened, why it matters, and maybe what comes next.
Yeah, our goal here is really to get past the headlines, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Beyond the sound bites, into the strategy.
Because this wasn't just, a missile strike. It felt much more like a carefully sent message.
Okay.
And we're going to try and unpack how one event, just one incident, can have so many layers, intent, consequence.
There it goes.
It's
Get it,
quite
come on.
something.
It really is. It gives you this rare glimpse into that delicate balance, the signaling between nations.
Exactly.
So let's get into the specifics then. June 23, 2025.
Yeah.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC,
Right, their elite force.
they launched a barrage of missiles, short and medium range ballistic missiles. So where were they actually aimed? And crucially, what happened immediately?
Okay, so the target was Udeid Air Base. That's in Qatar. It's one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the entire Middle East, so very significant target.
Right.
But here's the critical part. Qatar's air defenses kicked in, and they worked.
Yeah.
They intercepted every single incoming missile.
Every single one.
Everyone reported. No casualties, no damage reported on the ground. And that immediate outcome, that zero impact, is, well, it's fundamental to understanding the strategy here.
And Iran actually gave this operation a name, didn't they? That tells us something, too.
They did. It was called Operation Glad Tidings of Victory. Some reports also had it as Annunciation of Victory.
Victory.
Yeah, the name itself suggests this wasn't some spontaneous lashing out. It signals a clear purpose, almost declaring success beforehand, which is interesting.
Very interesting. So given that outcome, no damage, and the name, why this specific action, and why right then, the sources we looked at point to retaliation.
That seems absolutely right. It came just, 2 days after U.S. airstrikes on some Iranian nuclear targets? But here's where it gets really fascinating. Iran apparently gave a pre-strike warning to both Qatar and the U.S.
Oh, warning. That's not standard procedure for an attack you want to succeed, is it?
Not if your goal is destruction, no. This points very strongly towards wanting to make a statement, to retaliate symbolically, but without, causing a massive escalation or hurting civilians.
Okay, so it's like walking a tightrope. Deterrence, not outright aggression. That fits with some analysis suggesting they mirrored the number of missiles the U.S. used. Is that part of it?
It seems directly connected, yes. That mirroring suggests a very symbolic posture. It's about showing capability, about deterrence, not really about starting a destructive all-out war.
Right.
You see this controlled response. The warning, the lack of casualties, it really highlights Iran's bind, their strategic dilemma. They've felt pressure to respond to the U.S. strikes.
They had to do something.
Exactly. But at the same time, they desperately needed to avoid a full-scale conflict. So it's like sending a message. We can hit back, but we're choosing not to escalate this into total war.
Which brings us to maybe the most crucial part. How did everyone else react? Especially the key players, Qatar, the U.S. How did they read this mix of aggression and warning?
Well, Qatar, for instance, publicly condemned the strike, called it a violation of sovereignty, which you'd expect.
Sure.
But, and this is important, they also publicly acknowledged they were told in advance, and that they shot the missiles down.
Okay. So that's not just a minor detail.
Not at all. It shows Qatar doing this delicate diplomatic dance, doesn't it? Upholding their sovereignty out loud, but also subtly signaling de-escalation by confirming the warning. It's how they manage being friends with both the U.S. and, well, needing to deal with Iran.
Makes sense. And the U.S. reaction. President Trump made some comments pretty quickly.
He did. He convened the White House Situation Room, monitored it all very closely. His public description was that the attack was, quote, very weak.
Very weak.
Yeah. And perhaps surprisingly, he actually mentioned appreciating the advance warning. Importantly, he stated no immediate U.S. retaliation was planned, and he urged calm.
So a sort of downplaying it publicly.
Publicly, yes. But behind the scenes, the State Department issued shelter-in-place advisories for Americans in Qatar. They raised threat alerts across the region. So while the top message was calm, they were clearly taking the potential for wider trouble very seriously. It's managing the public story and the immediate security risks side by side.
Right, that makes sense. So beyond those immediate government reactions, what about the wider region? Was there a ripple effect?
Oh, definitely. If you connect the dots, look at the bigger picture airspaces over Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, even Kuwait, were temporarily closed right after the strike.
Ah, okay.
So that alone tells you there were broader security concerns. A real ripple effect, even from an incident that was ultimately contained. It shows how fast even a controlled action can raise alarms and disrupt normal life across several countries.
So let's bring this together. What's the bottom line for you, our listener, trying to sort through all this complexity?
Well, I think the bottom line isn't just that deterrence worked, maybe. It's more about how this event might be changing the rules of the game, how countries signal their intentions, how they manage escalation in the, 21st century. Iran used a very carefully measured missile strike. It signaled, we can hit back. But it did so without triggering that wider war. And the fact the threat was neutralized, thanks to good defenses and that really crucial heads up, it just underlines this complex dance of strategic signaling.
But tensions are still high.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Undeniably elevated. The region is still very much on high alert, no question.
So this really raises a big question for all of us watching. What happens next? Will Washington and Tehran keep up this delicate signaling game? Or could someone misread the signals? That seems like the key thing in the coming days.
It really does. The potential for miscalculation is always there.
Yeah. This deep dive, it's really shown how just one event can be packed with meaning. Like a complex message designed to hit specific goals without, hopefully, spiraling out of control.
It really makes you think about the power of signaling, doesn't it? Especially non-destructive signaling. Sometimes what doesn't happen tells you more than what does.
That's a great point. Absolutely. And it leaves you wondering, in a world with weapons this sophisticated, could this kind of calculated strike clear warnings, limited actual damage, could that start to redefine conflict itself? Maybe even open new paths to de-escalation?
It's possible. Perhaps the future involves less brute force and more precise, communicative demonstrations of capability.
Something to definitely chew on. Until next time, stay curious.